My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review for Beyond Two Souls. Now, this is a game that I wasn't even remotely excited to check out. I did it because I don't even know why. If you watch my review of Heavy Rain, you know how much I hated that game, and I didn't want to play another one of these type of games. I don't like these type of games. So I went into this game highly skeptical, and I can't think of another time I've been this pleasantly surprised when it comes to a game. I was not expecting to like this game as much as I did, because this is a really good game. Now, has this changed my mind about the make your own choices games? No, I still don't like them, and that's where some of my issues come from this game. But for being one of those games, this might be as good as they get. Like, I've heard amazing things about Detroit Becoming Human, and I'm gonna play that next. So fingers crossed it's on the same level of quality as this game, or even better. But man, this game just blew me away. Where to even begin? Well, let's talk about the story, because I absolutely loved it. I will say that the first half of the story was better to me than the second half. But it's still a great story. You get to experience Jodie's life and everything that she's gone through. The good and the bad and everything in between. It's a portrait of life, and it shows all of its beauties and its tragedies and the nuance and just everything so perfectly. And this story is just filled with emotion. Last of Us 2, I'm going to be honest, I'm a weeping mess throughout that entire game. Last of Us 1 has lots of emotional moments. Uncharted 4 gets me in a few different moments. But those three games aside, this is the most emotional I've ever been while playing a game. Like, this game, there's moments that broke my heart, and there's moments that were genuinely heartfelt, that made me tear up a bit because of how moving it was. And I just thought the way that they captured those moments was so perfect. Jodie as a character is just so fully developed. You understand everything about her. You understand her viewpoints on the world and why she does certain things. And because you care for her so much, the emotional stakes at play are always present. All the other characters are really well developed as well, especially Mace and Hawkins. The father-daughter relationship between the two of them and how that relationship develops was so well written. I also really liked Cole as a character. I thought Wine was a really good character. And I even loved Aiden, even though we never see him. I do think it was weird that they called him Aiden instead of Aiden, but is that how some people do it? Aiden? Is that normal? I'm not entirely sure. But I loved Aiden as a character. And I just love the supernatural aspects of this game and how they embrace it. It showcases the scientific method behind it all, but also the spiritual. And I feel like this game does a good job of combining those two. The supernatural elements of this game provided a horror element to it that I really dug, but this game embraces almost every genre in some way. There's definitely horror, there's definitely sci-fi, there's definitely romance. There's a section that feels like it's straight out of a war movie. There's definitely a Western section. This game just has it all, but it still feels like one cohesive story. So that's incredibly impressive. And this game also has a very unique structure. It jumps around a lot. And at first I was unsure of how I felt about that, but over time I came to appreciate it. Now at the end they do give you a reason why it's like that. But just narratively, it just allows you to want to know more. How did she end up here? How did she get to this point? It just answered all your questions throughout. And it helped you piece together Jodie's life and everything that happened in it. You just start to learn more about her past, her future, her present, just as the game progresses. And I really like that. Ellen Page is absolutely phenomenal in this game. She gives such a great performance. Willem Dafoe is also fantastic in it. I thought he gave a great performance as well. Cardeem Harrison is also great. Like, all the performances in this game are really great, and all the supporting characters stand out in some way. You've got Stan, Salim, Wine, Paul, Jay, Corey, Shamsani, Tuesday, Walter, Jimmy. They're all great, well-defined supporting characters that I do remember. So the character writing is just top-notch. And for a game that came out in 2013 that isn't a Naughty Dog game, this game still looks great. Now, the humans can be very hit or miss. There's moments where the humans look great, moments where the humans look bad. It's very inconsistent on that front. And there's moments that definitely stand out more than others. But for the most part, I thought the graphics in this game looked great. Like, especially one moment early on where you're running in the forest and it's dark out, it's rainy. It just captures that atmosphere so perfectly, and I was impressed by the graphics on this game. And also the music by Lonnie Bath, who I think deserved an Oscar for Mission Impossible Fallout because his score for that movie is just phenomenal. But this might be some of his best work. I loved the music in this game. It gave it a unique identity, but it also amplified every emotion you were supposed to feel. It just added to the emotion in every scene that it was present in. I absolutely loved it. Now, all that said, I still do not like this kind of gameplay. Now, I didn't mind it as much here as I did in Heavy Rain for two different reasons. First of all, I think this game has aged better. And secondly, the story here is genuinely amazing. So it didn't bother me as much here because I was at least invested in the story. But man, there are moments where this game just lost me. Like there's a few different times where you have to collect some memories from this object or this person, and you have to use the analog sticks to create a flow from the object to your head. And doing that a few times, okay, fine, but you do that an excessive amount, and after a while, I was getting really tired of it. Also, whenever you want to heal someone, you've got to match the left analog stick and the right analog stick on the same spot on the screen, and I hated doing that. And well, whenever you play as Aiden and you have to like blast something, you always have to push the analog sticks back towards you. And a few times, fine, but after a while, I'm just like, I'm getting really sick and tired of doing this. And the fighting combat just isn't fun, just a constant move left, move right, move up. It's not fun stuff. There's this one section where you have to make your way through this town, and you gotta sneak throughout this town, and you're jumping over barricades and sneaking around and taking down people in stealthy ways. And I didn't find this section to be fun whatsoever. I just don't like this kind of gameplay. I prefer it when you can move around, you can jump, squares punch, triangles counter. I much prefer gameplay like this because I just didn't find this game to be fun. Like, it's so weird that I'm talking about how much I like the game as much as I am, but I'm criticizing the actual playing of that game. I just liked seeing this story unfold. But that does bring me to a different issue, which is I still don't like this kind of game. I still don't like that you have to make your own choices to everything I'm talking about the story of this game, I'm talking about my own choices. And I much prefer it when it's just one story from beginning to end. Now, I always make sure that I pick the choices that would make the most interesting sense. Like, there's a scene early on where you're getting bullied, and if you just walk away from that scene, it's just like, oh, okay, well, that was a really boring moment. But if you get revenge, well, now that's interesting. So I always try to pick the most interesting decisions and what made most sense. But sometimes I just found the choices I made to be so underwhelming. Like, there's a few times where I'm just like, oh, really? I really wish I didn't pick that. And then I look up the alternate choice online and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a much better choice. And I just hate the fact that I have to do that. Like, by the end of this game, you can make a few different choices at the end of this game. And I didn't really like the ending I got, even though I liked elements of it. But it's just like, I hate the fact to even look up the ending, there's all these different options. And no, just one. I don't get how people like how there's all these different endings. Because if you don't get the ending you like, then you're like, oh, well, that's unsatisfying. And you look up the different endings. And you're like, oh, I wish I had that one. It just annoys me. I'm not a fan of these pick your own choices. And there's moments like, because you can always pick what you can say. And there's sometimes where you can pick every option eventually, but there's other times where you can't. And because some of those times, I was just thinking, well, it's going to allow me to ask every question, and then it didn't. And I'm like, what? No, I want to know the answer to that. Oh, it's sometimes just drove me mad. That all said, though, I'm still surprised at how much I like this game. Now, the story isn't perfect, there's definitely flaws, but I thought the emotional weight behind everything was so strong, and I really did find that these characters were so fully developed, and I really did come to care for them. The performances are absolutely incredible. I love how it embraces all these different genres, and I love how the story is told. But the type of game that this one is just held it back in moments. But I still can't recommend this game enough. If you like a good, strong story, then I definitely recommend it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Beyond Two Souls a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, have you played Beyond Two Souls? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin